Thank you very much and welcome to everybody. So, I'm sure you've all come here because you want to hear about the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and so we'll get right into it. My name is Uno Tidanyoni, and I've got two of my colleagues. They will introduce themselves as we go through, and you will get to hear about the fellowship and our journey. Then I think when we conclude, we're going to have questions, a section for questions and answers there. So the Mandela Washington Fellowship is an initiative of the US Department, which they delegate the administrative part to an organization called IREX. But it's got three main programs that they administer. The first one is the Mandela Washington Fellowship. That is the flagship project, which takes 700 people from sub-Saharan Africa to the United States, which we're going to talk about in more detail. There's the Yali Network. The Yali Network is a network that's available to anyone who wants to know more about how they can be better in civil society management, in entrepreneurship and public sector management. So it's an online thing. You have to log in and register and join the several networks that are on the internet for you to be able to get more. But there's a lot of material that they have. And then there is the Yali Regional Leadership Center. So this is you could say a more localized version of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So it has the content of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, but the participants have to go to the different regional centers that we have. So here in South Africa hosts the Southern African one. I think there's another one that's hosted in Ghana and different other places in Africa. Like I said, the fellowship is a US Department of State run fellowship, and the administrative part is run by IREX. The fellowship started in 2014. It empowers young people between the ages of 25 to 35. Like I said, it takes about 700 young people, young leaders for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. It opened on September 12th for this cohort, September 12th, and you have a deadline up to this Wednesday, right? The 9th of October, if you are still looking at applying. The fellowship values diversity and inclusion. It is an alumni network of over 4,400 people who have come through the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And there is absolutely zero fee that you pay. It's a fully funded fellowship. I think at this point, let me give it to Palisa to go on.
Do I need the mic? No. Do I need it? Hi, everyone. My name is Palisa. I run the USF here with my two colleagues under the business track. So, as Uno has said, 700 fellows were selected. We were three of the really lucky people among the 700. The program is actually very intense. It's a 6-week program, and the 7th week we spent, so 6 weeks in the university where we were stationed. I was at Iowa University, and for the 7th week we went to Washington, D.C., where all 700 met. So in the 6 weeks we were just 25 people from 18 different African countries. We were placed at, so of the 700 we divided into 25, and we are all stationed at 28 leadership institutes in the US. I think they call them leadership institutes but they're actually universities. But the core focus of the program is in leadership. So it's what it's called leadership institutes. And there are 3 tracks. So you'll see in the application that you must choose a track that you think best fit into. So there's the business track, there's civic engagement, So the overview of the different tracks, right? I'll start with leadership in business. The focal area of leadership in business is basically skills in business and entrepreneurship. So we need to demonstrate that this is what we are currently doing, and this is how we are helping society in this way. So the sub-themes, and these are sub-themes that they look out for, are innovation and technology. They look at emerging markets and youth population in Africa, business plan development, financial management, business ethics, the intersection of business with civil society and government. So I'll talk more about my experience in this at the university levels. The next one is leadership in civic engagement, and the sub-themes are advocacy, strategic planning, organizational development, intersection of civil society and government. Another thing that I want to say is that, as you can see, that in all the themes, there's intersection and there's business and there's business, because the core, the underlying factor in the Mandela Washington Fellowship is that you cannot be in civic engagement or be in public management without understanding business or without approaching it from a business perspective. And the third one is public management, which something with civic engagement, resource management, financial management systems, and again the intersection of public and civil society. So in each institute, so in each university, this is what we do. So all of us have the same stories about what we did in the universities where we were. So there's in the 6 weeks we have a very heavy academic program where we actually sit in lectures, we interface with lecturers, professors in different fields. You know, in business we say investors, professors in business. Then we do a lot of leadership training because the fellowship is about enhancing the leadership qualities and really bringing up the best of people, because it's about the potential of African youth to become the next presidents, the next ministers, and the next leaders in business. We did inline talks. Inline talks are basically when you have a topic and you must talk in front of your audience. So public speaking is also a huge part of the program. Lots of site visits. We are visiting American businesses, American industries. We see the scale of American businesses. What? I can't compare it to anything at home because I've never ever seen anything like this. So the site visits are amazing because we actually see America at work. Lots of cultural visits, visits to museums. America is very culturally rich. And also just from Iowa, we got to see like the different side of the US, you know, just like in this small town. Collaborative relationships. These relationships are like among each other mostly. So we work a lot with each other, we learn a lot about different countries, how we approach issues. So they also are very, very big on collaboration. You do community service, because also volunteerism is a huge thing in America, so they volunteer a lot. So that we did I think at least 3 community service things where we did Habitat for Humanity, we built a house. And then we have, and then you will also, maybe I should talk to you as you go. So you will also have unscheduled networking time where you meet people in the US, you talk to them. It's a networking session. But each institution is unique, and they will tweak things to fit your own interests. And you also can feel free to say to them, this is who I want to meet, or this is how I want to spend my free time. You don't have a lot of free time, but when you do, you can say it. So at the end of the 6 weeks, I said you went to Washington, you go to Washington, D.C. We're all 700 people. So this is the first time that all 700 nations, very amazing days actually. it's basically about networking outside of the 25. So now you get to meet everyone else. And it's a bit of a shock because you've just been this family of 25 now. All these other people. And people are also reconnecting with people in their own countries, so it's also very nice. But it's very different from the university experience because there are just so many people. And there's a huge focus on networking. But now, you've gained all these skills in the 6 weeks, so it actually becomes easy to. And then you'll see in the application form that you also have an option to apply for the PDE, so that's the professional development experience. So this is, I think, 6 weeks over and above the 7 months that you spent in this. You can apply for it, not everybody makes it, so that it also goes through its own application process. So here it says that you must submit supplementary an essay to apply. And it's actually a 4-week placement at a US NGO business or government agency. Again, it's according to your track. And here you're meant to be part of the organization. So you gain skills, you work with the organization, expand your networks. You apply the concepts that you learned about being in America, working in America. And up to 70 fellows are selected. So it's very competitive, but if you don't have any responsibilities, I think it would be amazing for you to apply for it. So when you come back from the US, as Will said, you become part of the alumni network, which is about 4,400. And there are lots of opportunities for you as alumni because you actually become the cream of the crop. And so among the opportunities that I think two that we know of and that people have applied for, the one is the reciprocal exchange, which is basically where an American professional in your field and you can exchange skills. So they can come to your country and help you with the project. So you get funding for that from the state. The State Department. And then there's also the US Department of State's International Exchange Alumni, which I'm not sure what that one is. I don't know actually what that is about. But anyway, it's 2 alumni opportunities.
It's a grant as well, Stephen.
It's a
grant. I think it's one of those that's open right now for instead of just networking in the US, it's like with the rest of the alumni.
Okay. So I know that. So if you, for example, when I was there, I met someone who works in the same industry as myself, but she lives in Madagascar. So she was part of my class. So we decided to collaborate on a project, so we can apply for that in the grant. Thank you. You don't need it.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Indira. Okay, so what the fellowship provides is support to get a specific visa called a J1 visa when you travel to the United States, and that allows you to study while you're there. And you can spend about another 90 days in the States if you wish. A lot of people after the 7 weeks stay more time, so you're more than welcome to do that. The US embassy pays for everything, and before you actually travel to the US, you all have to do your work, go to the embassy, and for throughout interviews. It was quite a streamlined process, so you really don't have to worry about that. Just submit all your information honestly, and they take care of everything. Then, of course, the round trip to the city where you're going to be based in the United States. I cannot tell you how long the flights are. Yeah, and then domestic travel, which is basically, so for example, I was based in Austin, Texas, and then when it was time to go to Washington, they get cruise to Washington. So you don't have to worry about all those costs. They also provide stipend for 6 weeks. So they really, really take Then obviously you are based in a specific leadership track institute, which is really phenomenal. So I found out when I was there that the universities, they actually need to bid to host the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So it's really incredible the resources that they plug into. It's really important. For example, in our track, we got one of the best lecturers in the world to be our professor. So they really go all out. So the access to information, resources, everything that goes into it, it's coming from the institutes who want to do this and have invested resources to be part of it. Concluding in Washington, everyone's excited about that. There is limited access to services and that basically if something happens, obviously they take care of you. Housing, meals during the program. So for every meal that they don't provide for, that's where your stipend comes in, which is a lot. So you really don't have to worry about it. Especially in the first 2 weeks, I think they pay us for every single meal. And they're like, listen, we out. So that's where our stipend kicked in. Optional for these professional developments, they put you into the spaces. So I know in my cohort, two of them had from DBA, and with the media industry, they gave them access to like HBO, to Netflix, so they really go all out to make, to grow your network. So really encourage you to go for that in your schedule lives. I think one thing that we laugh about it now, but it is quite an intense program, and you really have to look at your schedule locally and what the implications are for you. So if you have the opportunity to spend an extra month or 7 weeks, then go for it. But if not, 7 weeks is amazing. I'm still benefiting from the program myself while staying there. So take that into consideration. Okay, it doesn't include funds to supplement your income. So you can't be like, listen, this is what I earn every month. How would I actually do? We're not going to help you with that. Baggage fees. So when we travel, they do give you a stipend about $100 for baggage. Obviously, like pack light, don't pack the whole world. And if you go over, then you will have to cover that yourself. Medical co-payments and expenses are not covered. So don't let something happen after you're unhealthy. I know like a lot of us had toothaches in my cohort. I don't know why, it just happened. One person started, then we all had toothache, and then we all had to visit dentists. But they helped us, but they didn't help us financially. But they gave us a plug, so we're good. High-tech devices, so they're not going to provide you with laptops and stuff. They did provide us with a phone whilst we were there, just so that we're able to communicate, using your visiting cards and being able for anytime. So they really try to take care of you, that you really don't need anything else. So you need a J1 visa, and you get documentation that you have to travel with, you have to keep on you as you travel, because they need that. I said 90, it's actually 30-day grace period to stay. So you must return to your home country. I guess that's a way for them to also protect the states, like everyone's trying to move in. South Africa's amazing. So you can't be employed during the program. Also, you won't have a chance to be employed. It's quite an intense week, so you really even get a chance to network, but when you do, it's incredible. But it's really, there isn't a chance for you to be employed, so don't go looking for jobs. So you can't bring your family along. Also, there's no time, so you should be just studying, meeting, networking. It's just business once you're there. And you can't do visa transfers and extensions. Obviously, because trying to mitigate the risk of people just crossing the border. Who is eligible? Anyone between the ages of 25 and 35, not US citizens, so you're possibly qualified so far. If you're eligible to receive a J1 visa, they really take care of a lot of the stuff that are required for the J1 visa, like you're going to be studying, so you tick that. So you don't really have to worry about that part.
as long as, are you guys employed or have families that are employed by the US government? So you also qualify, yeah, and you're all proficient in reading, speaking English. I think this is specifically for South Africa also because there were a lot of French-speaking students in our cohort because they get everyone from across the African continent. And I guess just a general disclosure, or rather like advice when you are there, be cognizant of the fact that not everybody is speaking English first language. So being a good citizen, help your fellow peers, and like if you have French-speaking students in your class, spend time with them afterwards, make sure that you're all on the same level, because the people from, like this girl from our cohort, she has one of the biggest companies on the African continent, but she's tiny and you'd never expect it. And she's French speaking, but that's a business relationship. Like she produces chips. And this other lady was like, oh, I just came back from Africa and I had a packet of chips. She's like, it's my company. She's like, how do you know? She's like, because it's my company. Like, she's that big. But it's like network, be friendly, be kind, help one another. Citizens and residents of an eligible country, you're here, you're eligible. Not alumni of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, so we can't apply again, but you guys can apply. So yeah, here's your list. I just assume everyone here is South Africa. If not, I'm sure your country is there, because they do, huh?
They would fit in one of those.
Yeah, is there any country that's not here? At least sub-Saharan, yeah, so I'm pretty sure you guys all fit the bill, right? Yeah. Okay. What makes an ideal fellow? Okay, proven record of leadership. So I had an opportunity to share with him earlier on, like what I did in my application. Like it's very easy for everybody to be like, I changed the world, but what is the record? So always try to bring numbers into your application. That's like my piece of advice. Even if you say, I changed the lives of 2 people, that's better than somebody who's just said, I've changed the world. So bring in the numbers, proven record of leadership. Don't be afraid. And I think it's something that Africans genuinely do. We're so humble in our approach. Like, don't be humble. Brag. Even if you help somebody cross the road, put it in that application. Like, I've shown leadership skills because I help people cross the road. Like, put it all in there. Demonstrate a commitment to public community services, volunteerism, like everything counts. Use this as an opportunity to celebrate yourself, to let people know the incredible work that you do. Don't be shy about it, because there's somebody out there who's definitely not shy and giving numbers who are probably worse than yours, but it's just that you're not articulating yourself. Strong social and communication skills. I think, the biggest value for me, especially when it comes to the interview, the biggest value is the African cohort. Africa is becoming the biggest population group as a whole. So if we don't learn to do business with one another, we're going to fail, right? For me in the interview, I can genuinely say, because I saw when the eyes like popped out, when I said my interest was to network with the Africans, that was a definite win, because it doesn't get better than that. It's not about the university. It's not about the networking opportunities in the States. That's going to come and go. But what stays is our connection as Africans. She was speaking about partnership with the lady in her cohort. I'm in partnership with the lady in my cohort. And that's what true value is. And if you're able to show that you're interested in that, that will definitely take you a level up. Demonstrated knowledge or interest in professional experience or preferred sector. So I think, so sorry to keep on using you as an example because we had a conversation. So basically, he gave an example of how he's in the NGO space and kind of branching into business. And I think that's completely fine. Just mention it and show your reasoning. Everybody is on a journey. There's nobody who here is doing what they studied. Is anybody? Oh, okay, one person. It's not a common thing. Okay, like I studied finance, I went into media, I'm now into tech. Journeys are normal, right? So, but just articulate it, Commitment to return to Africa and apply leadership skills. Yeah, definitely, like what I said. Showcase that, you're proud to be African and you want to develop this continent because that's what it's about. Yeah. accommodations, disability support. Yeah, so they ensure that people with disabilities are able to fully participate. In our cohort, we had 2 deaf-speaking participants, and it was quite encouraging, actually. So we also had to learn how to interact, which was really thought-provoking for our cohort. And yeah, they really go all out. So there's nothing that disqualifies you. So even if you're short-sighted or you're blind or you're deaf or any other impairment, they really take care of you. Yeah. How to apply? Yay! Very long application. I felt like they were short of asking like blood tests. Like that was like the only question that was left. But it was a nice, like, you find out about your life. You find out like what you think about your life. It's quite long. Have you guys started applying? You have? Okay. Try finish it. Give yourself a deadline before the deadline, because that last day rush is not worth it. They say it's basic information, but it's not. Professional and academic experience. Again, like in every single opportunity, bring in the numbers. Don't just say weird and undocumented facts like your educational background. Was there a reason why you chose to go to this school? Even if it's a backstory, you know. Some people might say, my parents couldn't afford to take me to a specific school. Great. What have you done with that now? But even in this school, I excelled and I allowed myself to get further education. You see, when you start putting backstories like that, you get identity to your application. That's far more powerful than just like, I went to UCT. That's it. No backstory, you know. Honors and awards received, everything. Previous US experience, that doesn't qualify you. And if you haven't had any, I don't think it has any effect. Extracurricular, volunteer activities, all these questions are just to get to know you better. Are you falling asleep? No? Okay. All of these is just to get to know you better. So as much as possible, put yourself on the paper so that by the time they're meeting, okay, so for example, there's about 80 people who are going to read your applications, different people around the world. I know I've volunteered to read some of the applications, right? They don't know you. They've never met you. So bring your best so that they feel like they know you. You always try to find that connection point to appeal to the person. So really put yourself on the paper. Personal statements, those essays, letters of recommendations or university transcripts. Yeah, I think they help. Even if it's from, okay, I was going to say even if it's from your mom, but don't do that. That's ridiculous. But ask friends, ask people you know. Ask people you know, even if they can recommend on the quality of your personality, that you're a giving person or you're a kind person. That helps. That always positions you in a better place. Oh, no plagiarism. That's quite easy and obvious. Don't copy and paste. Because there's also the software to detect plagiarism, so just don't do it. Yeah, avoid using another person's application at all, because that's not you. It's your journey, it's your next step. So put yourself on the page and credit your sources. So obviously you can say, I got this research from whoever, but credit them and say, as a result of this, this is what I've taken, you know. So the application closes next week. Interviews are happening in January. You literally do not hear from anyone until January. Did you guys hear from? No. I was shocked when they called me. I was like, the what? Like, it had been so long. So you'll literally get a call around about January to get your interviews, and it's quite a short interview. It happened here for me last year. You get notified, and then next thing you are pre-departure orientation. Everyone goes, meets up in Joburg. That's where you get all those visas, the J1 visas I was speaking about earlier. It's really quite a fun experience. And then in 2020, we left June 19, off to the States, and long trek to the States. Yeah, any questions? Oh, did I miss? Impact and alumni stories. So I don't know if you guys want to join, but basically, my biggest story was when I applied, I just happened to apply. Everybody was telling me to apply, so I really didn't want to apply. And then I put my heart in my application, and then I got the interview, and I was like, come on. And then in the interview, like I was very philosophical. Okay, I wasn't, but I was very like Africa. So I was just like, I'm not winning. I'm not trying to go. And then I went on the 19th of June, and I was just like dragging myself to the States. And then I was there, and it was the most incredible experience of my life. Like really, met the kindest of people there ever. My first night, Team South Africa for my university really arrived late. And Rita, I was sharing this room with this girl who was in animation in Uganda. So I'm in media, children's content. They matched me with somebody in animation, children's content. So they're very deliberate, right? I get there, she's sleeping. I wake up in the morning and found out she was sleeping on a broken bed. She sacrificed her first night, tired after a long trip, because she could have just gone to the other bed. I wouldn't have known. But that's the kindness of people, and literally met some of the best friends I could ever possibly meet. I'm working on an amazing production now with Rita. So that happened as a result of the fellowship. When I was there, our professor really drained into us in like technology, China's taking over, do something. So I came up with the business when I was there, and literally after this, I'm flying to Joburg to pitch to investors that these people, IREX, organize. So it's really an incredible opportunity. So, I mean, this is taken from somebody who was like, why, to get in. And looking back, I'm like, guys, like, do it. Just apply, even if you have doubt, even if the long application process is like, I give up. Because you feel like that, like after the 10th question, you're like, you know what, it's fine, it's not worth it. It is worth it. I'm a testament to that. So really, really great network, great people, and you consistently like get to work with some of the most incredible business leaders across the African continent, and that's where it's happening. That's my backstory.
Okay, so when I went to the US, when I got successful, it had been my third attempt. The first time I went through the interview, but it was somewhere here. It was in this room actually. Literally 15 people, and at a small table, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Hi, guys, are you all really here to listen?" And they're all looking at me like you guys are looking at me now. They're very intimidating, and I also, I mean, I wasn't in that space, right? I couldn't articulate what I was thinking. I couldn't really. And then the second time, I didn't even get to the interview phase. But you know, when something is meant for you, it just happens at the right moment. So I applied the third time, and I knew from when I filled out my form that I'm going to do this thing. But you need to give yourself time to think about what you want to say. So when I reflected on why I didn't even make it to interview phase, I knew because I was just writing stuff down. So you really need, like what she was saying, that you need to bring yourself into the application. And then the interview is a bonus, because there they see this colorful person, like they really meet you, and they're like, oh, okay. So that is just like the last tick of the box. But you must really spend time writing your thing and your application. But I had an amazing time in the US. It was my first time in the US. I'd never been with so many African people, you know. I mean, you live here, you don't really interact a lot with people from other countries. There were 18 different countries, and we all worked together. We all exchanged ideas. We all collaborated. We shared stories that were so similar. So I work in the fishing industry, and I work with small-scale fishers. And when I listened to this girl from Madagascar talk about small-scale fishers in Madagascar, I was like, that can be Kalk Bay, you know. So Africa is very similar. We are the same. It's just that we are living in different countries. But that's the wonderful thing about the fellowship, that you must go to America to learn about your own continent. Eh? But that's an opportunity because you're not worried about anything but this investment for you to soak up, to learn, to focus on yourself, to gain these leadership skills, and to sit there, listen to other people's stories and go, what? You're doing this? But when they listen to you, they also like, what? You know, you're doing this. So it's really amazing because you're in this affirming space where you are all just in the same, you know, struggling at home, doing your thing, and just learning as much as you can. So I really want to encourage you to apply. If you haven't started, fill out your application today, start writing down the first kind of draft, but you keep revisiting it. Your application, send it the night before, the day before, because I sent my application until 10 p.m. the other times. But this time around, last year, I sent it quite early. I was like really in like a very relaxed thing. So start today. Start today. Get through those unstructured thoughts until you hone in, right?
Sure, it was a third. It was my fourth. And the one thing I will tell you, I'm sure you can tell it's a wonderful experience when you go, but we are about applying. So let's talk about the application process so that at least you get it and you are in. The one thing in all my 4 attempts that I got as a take home was that for each application I made, I felt like I was being interviewed so that I can set my goals for the coming year. To say, if I don't make it this time, okay, so at each point I was thinking, so what do they want these people? Okay, then I look at all those who are going, I'm like, oh, okay. So at each point through the 4 years, I was developing the person that I felt I wanted to become, but that process kind of helped me to go through that. So whatever way, just attempt it. I would say, even if you're not ready yet, go through it. Because when you do, you will find out what the questions are. The other advice, this time, the thing that got me there was also the way I was writing the first time. I think they encouraged that we write in the, I'm not sure about my English here, in the third person. So you don't write, and I then went on to do these great things. You say, and he went on to do these great things. Uno has a unique personality that Uno, you know, and the stats need to be very clear as well. So Uno is, and bring out the you in the achievement. So there's no we in your application. Then we achieved great things. No, they don't want to look for you, we. This humility will mess you up. You gotta be very clear. Through my leadership or through my contribution, 50% of the people we trained got businesses, because you were there. So you can't take yourself out. So just make sure that that's part of your process. In my experience of the fellowship, I wouldn't take away anything. I would go again, and I don't regret ever applying for the 4th time, because that is the only program that really had its core focus on my personal development and on my dream and on what I wanted. So what my 2 colleagues were saying about how you can set up meetings with people who are in your industry and they really want to help you do the things that you want to do is the kind of help that I also got. But I think that's about it from my end. We could go there to, should I take this? So for the next steps, you go to the Mandela Washington Fellowship website, mwfellows.info /apply. Follow the Mandela Washington Fellowship on social media. And then make sure by October 9, you have submitted your application. And if you want assistance from us, maybe. So the other thing that helped me was that I put all my stuff in Word and I asked someone to just go through it who had been on the fellowship. And it was just that one. So I had written most of my stuff in first person kind of narrative, and they just changed that, and it made a difference. So maybe just have someone to look at it a day before, give you some notes. You never know how that would help you. Questions? Do you guys have any questions? Yes, sir.
On the age restriction, I am meant to be 25 by application date, or you are meant to be 25 by acceptance program.
So what if you're 24 and you're turning 25? Well, they were not as strict on the age. If you're lower, Palisa was telling me that you had a 21-year-old, eh?
Yeah. So if you can apply everything.
Yeah. The older is the problem, I guess.
You can.
Yeah. Sure. Yes. See.
So like what if you sure. So like what if you are in between industries? So like for an example, your whole experience has been in civic engagement, volunteering, all of that kind of thing, but you know ultimately you want to end up in business. Which track then do you go for? Because obviously your history hasn't been in business. You can't compete with everyone who's writing for the business. I'm an industry owner kind of thing. So which one do you apply for, but also then put your dreams in there and say, actually, this is where I want to end up. And it will obviously ultimately spill over, to the community that I live in, etc., etc.
Okay, I wasn't in your position, but I would suggest you apply. You can do it two ways, right? So the civic route does cover business content, which that's what she said, and I think what you can do once you get to universities is also just share with them your dreams, because they really try to make opportunities for your dreams, right? Another opportunity that you can pursue is actually to write business track. And say in your application, my work experience is this and this and this. But the reason why I want to go to business is because I could potentially have more impact by doing this and this and this. And, like I said, everyone has a journey. So you're definitely not the first person they've ever seen who would be in transition. But it's about how you word it on your application.
Okay. Thanks.
I would want to add to that, because I think that's one of the reasons why my previous applications were not going through as well, is that I didn't have demonstrated leadership in the tracks that I was trying to get into, and I was neglecting what is really outstanding. So the one moment I chose the one area that I was really outstanding in and gave examples, even I knew after my application that this one, if they don't look at this one, I don't know what they will look at. You get what I mean? So I think the fact that you know that there are more than 50,000 people who will apply and they're looking for 700 really means you want to put your best foot forward. And one of the other things that, for me, I went with business. I did a civic engagement part, but I went with a business motive. And before I went to the States, already I had the people that they connected me to before then were in the business side. And when I was telling them what I want to achieve out of this, they were connecting me before I even left to go to the States. So one way or the other, you will get your way, because these guys want you to succeed more than anything else. Any other questions? Yes.
No, go ahead. Okay, thanks. So before you applied, so what was your business? And then after you went through the entire program, you made all those connections. What has been the impact on and the changes that have come into your business?
Okay, so I've always wanted to get into personal development and leadership training and consulting. And it's one thing that I have been struggling to move from my full-time job into. What the fellowship helped me to do was to map out my own plan and to get a whole support system of how I could do that. So for example, now I have a call with one of the most experienced entrepreneurship coaches I've ever met, right? And in every month we have 1 hour. And I tell him what steps I'm taking towards what I want to do. And I take that all the time. I have, and we all have had an opportunity to apply for grants that we would not have had if we had not been on the fellowship, because they're specific to the fellows, right? The field I want to get into also needs you to get people to want to come and talk to them. Through this fellowship, from that time I left up to now, the number of gigs I'm getting for talking and putting myself out there are way much more. In fact, I don't think if I hadn't been talking in America, they would have called me now. You get what I mean? So it's like a push to say, hey, get into what you want and use. Obviously, there's a lot of work you have to do to make it happen. And for some, the progress would be so amazing. They're like, there's a lady who was part of the business track, and during the pitching session at their university, she won $7,000 US, and another one $10,000 US in grant but it was university specific. So there are many opportunities. She's told you about her pitching. Obviously, she's on an advanced level, but it happens like that. Yes, your question?
So after the program, what are there any follow-ups or expectations that you, or certain standards that you need to uphold? Like, is there like do you subscribe to anything with the fellowship, if you understand me?
So I don't think there are any specific things that you have to do, but it's like if you want to do it, you can make yourself available for it. I think for us, the program was such an impact that we were like, we want to be here with you on a Saturday to help you with your application. So it's like there are opportunities for you to continue to connect. I mean, yes, there's a Yali network and you still stay in touch with your universities, and you get informed about all the alumni opportunities, but the onus is on you, I guess, whether or not you want to be involved. So there isn't pressure. There isn't like, but what ends up happening is like, you're like, oh my goodness, this was so amazing. I have to give it back. I have to be a part of the next thing. So, yeah. I had the same question going in, so don't worry.
You didn't want to get involved in too many other
I didn't want to, but because of the fellowship, I'm like, I will come on a Saturday. I will read the applications. I will, because it had so much of an impact. So it's up to you. You have another question?
Sure. I'm just curious to know as to how do you guys motivate being away for about 5 to 6 weeks from your employers, as to how did you motivate that this fellowship is going to benefit them in this particular way, and they were fine with letting you go?
So I think because it's 3 tracks, right? So if you're in business, chances are you run your own operation. So I didn't have to motivate because I work for myself, and so do you, right? But definitely you would have to work because you have clients and stuff. So you have to make, that was, I think, the most difficult part of the experience, that you have to work while you're there because your business is not running itself. Uno, you can share because you were working at the time you left.
Yes, so for me, the advice would be find the things that are on the program that will benefit the employer and sell that. If they are clever enough, they will see how much they will benefit from your presence in the... I know a lot of people who are in government who went for the public management track and thereafter have, I think they were part of our what was that, PDO? Many people were giving testimonials about how they then got promoted in their jobs because of the knowledge base that they had from this experience. So get to know what it is that could benefit your employer and ask for that. So most people who then, some people when they get this opportunity kind of quit their jobs because they don't have that relationship with their employer to be able to do so, but you can sell. But let's get there first. If you get it, I will find a way to make sure you are able to get your 6 weeks of paid leave. So, looks like we don't have any more questions, do we? Do we have any parting shots from you guys?
For the fact that obviously you're going to eat, you're gonna need a haircut, you're gonna shop, you're gonna be traveling around. So all of that, you don't have to worry about anything. What happened in my university was that as soon as we received the first money, people just sent money home. So they were covered, like with, if they were contributing something to their families, then they could still do that. Only that they ran out of money in the end. But you really are given enough money so that you don't have to worry about a single thing. And they know you're going to shop, so you can buy yourself, sneakers, whatever you want. But you don't have to worry.
But it's not going to cover your car loan or your mortgage.
It's not. It's not going to.
Yeah. But your stay, no, you're going to be comfortable.
I mean, the only costly thing was the luggage. So if you buy a lot of things, especially in the first few weeks, because you knew and you're like, yeah, things are cheap here, then you have to travel to the next state and you pay a lot of money. Yeah. So some people ended up throwing some things. So you have to manage your luggage very well. And I think that's why she said just pack light from here to there, because you'll buy lots of things there. That's the only really costly thing, but otherwise, you are really well taken care of.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. It was good.